Number 3. Let me just say this. I have seen enough. I have. This election is over. That's right, I've been seeing it for a couple of weeks now. The trend lines, the comments from voters who are not supposed to support Donald Trump or any Republican are casting off the shackles of the Democrats, declaring their independence from the party of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're declaring loudly and boldly that there is a better way forward, and they're all done with the failing policies of socialism and transgenderism and all of it. They're rejecting the open and vile anti-Semitism and the insults to Catholic voters. From Kamala snubbing the Al Smith dinner to Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer mocking Catholics with her outrageous video, using Doritos for communion with some so-called influencer. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, if the Republicans get out and vote, that's the caveat. If Republicans and independents and disenchanted Democrats get out to vote, which they're already doing in record numbers in several of the swing states that report such things as early voting, like Nevada and Pennsylvania, then this race is over soon. I'm not the only one that watches these things and thinks so either. Early voting numbers are crushing the Democrats. Republicans outperforming them all over America. Mark Halperin lays it out quite nicely. Listen.
Good morning, everybody. Let's lead with the lead, as they say in journalism. If the early vote numbers stay the way they are, and that's a big if, we'll almost certainly know before Election Day who's going to win the election. We're going to talk a lot about that. The reasons why Democrats might be underperforming, the prospect that they'll recover. But again, make no mistake, if these numbers hold up in the states where we can understand even partially what the data is like, we'll know that Donald Trump's going to be president on Election Day. So we're going to talk about that, but I didn't want to bury that because it's extraordinarily important. And we got to track that day to day. That's more important than the polls right now. It's more important than almost anything because it's giving us insight into a variety of factors that are accounting for a Republican overperformance by various metrics in the early voting in the battleground state.
That's right. With these early voting trends, Halperin says we will basically know who's going to win the election on Election Day, which is interesting. I just listened to something from Arizona where they say they won't be able to have the votes counted until 12 or 14 days after the election. Remarkable, really. Considering Texas, they'll report on Election Day for the most part. Florida, the same. Big states, and you've got Arizona, can't count its votes for 2 weeks. Give me a break. Anyway, I've personally already seen enough. This is a huge surge by Donald Trump and the Republicans across the board. It's gotten so pronounced in the last week or 10 days that Democrats like Senator Bob Casey, the Democrat in Pennsylvania, is running ads that he basically says he supports Donald Trump. When he's voted up and down the line with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their failing policies, he's going to lose. In fact, new polling in Pennsylvania shows Dave McCormick leading there. Dave McCormick will be the next senator from Pennsylvania. A similar poll in Wisconsin shows Eric Hovde taking the lead in that Senate race. And one poll in Michigan showed the same thing with Mike Rogers, the Republican, leading the favored Democrat Alyssa Slotkin for the open seat in my home state. Some of the betting markets suggest the GOP could sweep all three and end up controlling the White House, the Senate, and the House. Pretty remarkable. It's so bad in some Democratic circles that many are now asking, did we make a mistake? Did they make a mistake pulling Joe Biden out of the race and slamming Kamala Harris in his place? I mean, in Pennsylvania, old Joe would have had a chance, where it appears Kamala has none at all. She is failing because she simply cannot deliver a coherent message on anything. And it's men that are leaving her in record numbers, among others, and it's killing her in the race. So Kamala has this to say about men. Listen.
To implement the agenda that you want to implement, you have to win first. You have to win the White House. And right now there is a big gender gap in this race. Fewer men support you right now than they did President Biden. Some of your allies have suggested there's sexism at play. I wonder, do you think there is sexism at play here?
Let me just tell you something. You've come to my events, and you will see there are men and women at those events, whether it be small events or events with 10,000 people. So the experience that I am having is one in which it is clear that regardless of someone's gender, They want to know that their president has a plan to lower cost, that their president has a plan to secure America in the context of our position around the world. They want a president of the United States who honors our military, who understands the importance of America's leadership around international rules and norms.
Yeah. Okay, so there's that. The sexism, blah, blah, the open question. Kamala did that interview yesterday. We've got several parts of it for you here today. But on the big issues, you see, the problem is really the big issues. You can talk about sexism, but it's about leadership. Men, me, have no problem voting for a woman. But we have a problem voting for her because there's no leadership there. It's an empty vessel. That's the problem. And she's an empty vessel because when you come to the big issues, she can't find a coherent message. Why? She doesn't have one. Kamala actually blamed Donald Trump yesterday for the border. The border that was the most secure when he was in office. It's simply mind-blowing. Here's a sample.
On this issue of immigration, he has been an obstacle to fixing this problem. My proposal includes strengthening what we must do to ensure that we have an orderly and humane immigration system and that we fix what has been broken for a long time. It has transcended administrations, and it needs to be fixed.
No, it needs to be fixed. You need to be fired. And it just continues on, big issue after big issue. Kamala Harris asked how to protect Social Security. It's currently projected to go bankrupt in 9 years. She has no answer at all. In fact, what does she do? She attacks Donald Trump. It's all she has. It's Trump's fault. He hasn't been in office, lady. Listen. If
you look at Donald Trump's Project 2025, the plan that they have if he is elected or reelected president, it would attack Social Security, it would attack Medicare. And back to the point about just what is in the interest of dignity. The President of the United States should have as one of their highest concerns the dignity of the American people. And in particular, those who have lived a productive life, who deserve to be able to retire and go into their senior years with the dignity of not worrying about whether they're going to have a roof over their head or be able to eat. So my plan includes what we need to do to strengthen the solvency of Social Security. It includes what we're going to need to do and work with Congress to make sure we're putting more into it. And it cannot be about cutting benefits because right now those benefits are barely adequate as it is.
Dignity. How dignified is it going to be if there is no Social Security at all in 6 or 8 or 10 years? How dignified will that be? She's a mouthful of oatmeal, mouthful of marbles. Kamala Harris, the dumbest person to ever run for president. I'll be back.